This is Sean McCormick from Radio Hannah. In today's video, we're going to look at basic audio editing in Audacity, our free audio editing tool. So we're going to start out by launching Audacity. And we'll take a quick look at our toolbar. We have our tape deck controls, as I call them. We have pause, play, stop, go to beginning, go to end, record. We have our basic working controls. We have the cursor or selection tool. We have the magnifying glass that lets you zoom in with left click, zoom back out with right click. We have the envelope tool. You use this to squish down the audio levels in certain parts of a file. We have the time shift tool, which is basically a move tool that lets you move things around on your timeline. We have the draw tool, which lets you modify the waveform. I've never actually used this, but I guess some people do. And we have a multi-tool mode, which basically toggles back and forth between the cursor and the envelope tool, depending where you are in a file that has both in there. I find that this is very handy and saves me clicking back and forth. We have cut, copy, paste, trim. We can silence a region. Never actually use these. We can sync the tracks. Sync lock the tracks together so they all move at once. Once again, we have zoom in, zoom out. We have our playback speed. We can choose what we're using for audio host. I usually use MME. We can select our input, which in my case is the audio box USB audio interface that I use on this computer. And we can choose our output, which is my speakers. I have a whole bunch of choices. I use speakers locally. My microphone volume, which is cranked to, let's say, go to 95. And my output volume, which here is very low, not a big deal. All right, let us bring in a file and start editing. All right, let's play this. The file comes in rather suddenly. I want to fade in the first 3 seconds, so I'm going to use my selection tool, highlight the first 3 sections, and here under all my effects I have all kinds of effects I can use. The main one I'm interested in right now is fade in. Alright, let's go back to the beginning and play it. So that's fading in the track. If I want to get rid of the rest of the track and fade out what's left, I will put my cursor in here, hitting my shift key, end key, it goes to the very end of the track, delete key, which didn't work, so I will say, oh, I'm paused. It doesn't, so I'll say delete. There we go. Home to go back to the beginning. And what happened to me is if you have it paused or you're playing and you try and do something like delete or edit the file, it won't let you. So that's what happened. I do that every so often, so it's good that you saw that. Now I will highlight the last 3 seconds of my song. I will go to Effects. I will go to Fade Out. And now my track fades out. Let's listen. So fade in, fade out, both found under Effects. Also under Effects, and you have to select whatever you want the effect to apply to, you can go to Amplify, and if you want, you can take the noise level down. So I'm basically de-amplifying by about 14 decibels. There we go. Now I've got a file that's quite low. If I want to get that back, I can do something like Effect, Normalize, and it will automatically bring it up to -1 decibel from 0 no matter where I am. Saves a lot of guesswork. There, it's back. We use Normalize a lot, mainly with voice files, so if you've recorded something that is too low, you can normalize it, bring it back up. Just be warned that it also brings up the background noise. So if you recorded something with really low audio and you're trying to repair it, you hit normalize to bring it back up to acceptable levels, you're going to be going, wow, that's noisy. We do have a separate video on fixing the noise. Ideally, you've recorded it without noise first at a proper volume, but that is a fix. But that's in a separate video. So let's close this. Nope, not saving my changes. here's the intro I used for a song called The Cover Up. Pardon me, a show called The Cover Up. Here's the intro I use for a show called The Cover Up that I do. I'm going to select my zoom tool. I want to left click and zoom in. I'm going to use my selection tool and just get rid of the dead space at the beginning. So highlight, drag, delete. That's gone. Going to right click to bring this back. Alternately, you can use your zoom in or zoom out, whichever works best for you. Now we're going to play with our envelope tool right here. I want to drop the volume of this part of the song, so I'll zoom in, click here with my envelope point, click here with a second, zoom in once more. I'm just going to drag this down. I want to drop the volume right here for a voiceover. Let's have a listen. Okay, so the volume suddenly dropped here. Now I'm dragging in some extra files. And here's my move tool. Just drag and move to where you want the file. Drag and move. Drag and move. Now you notice whenever you drag something in, it just drops it down at the bottom. This is one thing I hate about Audacity. Just get rid of the extra tracks you don't need. I'll put my cursor here in the middle. Zoom in, and I'll use my move tool to put the tracks where I want. And let's play.
You're listening to The Cover Up, Episode 3.
Perfect. Now if we had this where the volume was higher, it would really sound nasty. Okay, I'm going to bring the sound back up after this. So click once to put in a point, click again, and I'm going to bring this back up to full. And you can drag this left or right as well as you want to. Good enough. So
you're listening to The Cover Up, Episode 3.
You see my volume goes back up to normal after. Now here's the other cool thing. This multi-mode tool. When you're over a part that you want to select, you can just select. When you go over a envelope point, you see it changes to envelope. Of course, it doesn't show in zoom. Try that one more time. No, it doesn't work in zoom, but you can see when I'm over my envelope point, it turns to envelope. If I go over something that's not envelope, I can select, delete, or put it back. By the way, if you ever make a mistake that you want to get rid of, you can go back to Edit, Undo for whatever your last mistake was, or just Control-Z to undo. So far, we have covered the cursor tool, the magnifying tool, the envelope tool, the move tool, and the multi-mode tool. These are the basic edits that we do. The last thing we're going to play with is, wonder of wonder, the draw tool. So let's get rid of all this. Now the way this works is you have to zoom way, way until you see a bunch of little points on your waveform. So zoom, zoom, zoom. Go to about the middle of the file here. We're not zoomed in enough yet. Zoom, zoom. Okay, see those little points? Now you can use your draw tool and you can drag the points. And to really change this file, because you're zoomed in so close, it's going to take you forever. I don't know why anybody would use this in real life, but apparently some people do. And that's what this tool is for. I've never personally had to use this, but it's there. All right, the last practical thing we have to do, let's close this. Drag in my file. Now, when you're recording something, you are going to have a moment when you cough or make a noise you don't want. So what you do is, let's listen to this.
That's not the it's not the version that...
Okay, so first we'll just select the area and let us silence this. There we go. That's silence. So watch the meters.
the,
Nothing there now. No background noise even. So that's how you would silence something. Now if you want to get rid of that gap, highlight, drag to select, and press delete, and that's gone.
except it's not the version that, except it's not,
Okay, so we're going to go from here to here. And
except that it's not the version that people,
that's a rough edit, but that gives you an idea of how you can take out a space and sort of clean up your English, getting rid of gaps between words. So that is select, delete, and you can select and you can press silence. And that part's silence. Now if you wanted to just select this part here and get rid of the rest, you highlight this and you click trim, and everything outside of the selected area is gone. So those are our main tools that we use in Audacity for creating a show. You have all kinds of other stuff. Under effects, you have equalization. You can set your EQ. You can normalize. Bump your audio levels a bit if you want to. The compressor can be used to bring up some lower audio, and it can be used to bleed off higher audio. So if you overdrive the mic, it'll take out some of the excess. If you're speaking too softly, it'll bring it up a bit. We use this a little bit, but not a lot in Audacity. We're not too worried about this at the student level of Radio Hannah, but it's nice to know it's there. And that is the tool of everything that I've used so far in Audacity in the last year or so. We'll play this file one last time. Let's just move this over to the beginning and play.
Our next song is Du Hast by Rammstein, except that it's not the version that people are used to. This is a take by a polka band.
Alright, so that is a slightly modified audio file, and this is what I use Audacity for. These are all my basic edits. Play controls up here, cursor for selecting, click select, magnifying tool, left click to zoom in, right click to zoom out. I have my move tool. I have my envelope. So if I wanted to drag things up, bring things down, envelope tool. I have my draw tool, which we're never really going to use, and I have my multi-mode tool, which lets me select as a cursor or use a envelope tool depending on where I am in the file. It just flips to whatever you need. We have our effects, our common effects, such as fade in, fade out, under our effect rack. And once again, that's everything I've used in the past year in Audacity. I hope this has been helpful to you. Sean McCormick for Radio Hannah. Have a great day.